Hi, my name's Adam and welcome to Urban Survival UK. Today we're going to be talking about prepping. What is prepping? Well, simply the definition of prepping is basically get ready. But what are we getting ready for? You know, what's going to go wrong to have to prep for? So there's a number of things that could go wrong in this world, whether it's adverse weather to power cuts, food shortages, fuel shortages. You know, there's a number of things. You know, let's not forget the big one, the pandemic that we've all been through with lockdowns and knock-on effect with the NHS, National Health Service, all sorts of things. So, that's just a handful. The list goes on and on and on, with things that can go wrong. So we haven't got time to go through all of those. But the realistic thing is, one of those things is probably going to happen again and again and again. Whether it's in our lifetime, probably, and it will certainly be in other people's lifetimes. So that's what we're prepping for. We're prepping for in case something happens. Now, the definition of a prepper is perceived by people in a different way than others. So it used to be, you'd envision someone living in the woods with their crossbow or living off the land with candles and, a little bit maybe crazy, but that's not the case. I mean, lots of people prep. We all do it every day in, day out anyway, without realising. Whether it's just planning a Christmas dinner or planning a birthday party, you buy things in advance, so you make sure you've got it in stock, etc. So we all prep, but as a prepper, what I'm doing is basically preparing for something that could go on wrong realistically. So what I'm going to do over the next few videos is take you through from start to finish of where I am with my prepping over the last 15 years of prepping. From having a spare kitchen cupboard with some vital things, medication, tins of beans or non-perishable foods, even under the stairs, or filling up your garage, or even going out and getting yourself a big ISO container and putting it in the garden, or filling your loft space. Or there's a number of ways of prepping. It's not just a matter of filling your house up with food. You've got to think outside the box, think about how things might affect you personally. We're all different. Some of us have children, big families. Some of us live with other people, maybe elderly people or people with disabilities. Some of us live on our own. We all prep different because we're all different. So you need to think about what you need in your life and use the pandemic as an example. Think back, what did you really miss? What were those things that you thought, I wish I'd bought those from the supermarket beforehand. The typical toilet paper, loo roll thing. The reason we ran out is because everyone panic bought and bought them off the shelves, where I had loads here. I didn't have to go and buy any because I already had some already. I had them years ago. And in fact, during the pandemic, I didn't have to leave my home at all, really. I did, for certain reasons, but I didn't have to. You just get enough supplies into your house so you can just see a few days or a few weeks or even a few months. It depends how far you want to go with it. So yeah, general prepping is for general people, just general public. And what I found since the pandemic is people actually come and ask me now, where beforehand I would discuss it with people, maybe over the dinner table, and they'd look at me and think, you're crazy, what are you prepping for? But ever since the pandemic, they actually approach me now and say, look, Adam, I thought of you straight away when lockdown happened. I bet he's prepared. And now it's something that people want to get into. So hence the fact I'm doing this video. I'm going to do a few more. I'm going to go out and about, take you with me with the camera, take the drone, and just show you what I've planned over the last few years for different eventualities, whether it's bugging out, leaving where you live and going to a safe haven and route planning, night navigation, or a bit of sea fishing, different things, to what to carry in your vehicle just in case something happens when you're out and about. When we say prepping, we could be prepping for a breakdown. You could be driving back from a long way away, several hours drive, and you could break down. There could be snow, and you've got nothing in the vehicle to keep you warm, no food or drinks, or it's prepping in all sorts of different ways and manners. So I'm going to take you through all these different types of scenarios that could go wrong. And I'm not necessarily that's the best way to deal with these things, but I'm just going to explain to you that's what I've prepped for, how I've prepared to deal with these things. I'm going to show you my storage facilities, what I've got, what kind of kit I've kept, different equipment, to different types of safe havens, how I'd get there and how I'd do it. So yeah, it's kind of endless, but there's going to be lots of videos coming up. But like I said earlier, to start off with, we're going to start with some basic prepping skills and go from here. Okay, what I want to do here is just do a quick overview of what I've got in storage with my food supplies here, my food storage. You know, first of all, why do we need so much food in storage, or why do I think that we need so much food in storage? Simply because if something happens, you know, depending on what scenario, but probably most of the scenarios, if something happened, you don't want to be going to the supermarket to try and get food with, you know, people panicking, panic buying. The chances are there won't be any food left anyway. There'll be queues going in, and when you finally get in, there won't be hardly anything left or anything worth having. The other thing is, if there's something like a pandemic or a virus or something like that, you don't really want to be in close proximity to other people because you could potentially pick up the virus. So it's good to be able to keep out of the way, hunker down, and have enough storage of food to be able to just keep your head low and have plenty to live off. So you know, you want a mixture of food. You don't just want the same thing. There's no point having shelves and shelves of baked beans and porridge, because within a few days you'll all be sick of it. So you need to make it nice and tasty still, and have a nice variety of food. And it all depends. We're all different, so we all like different things. If you've got kids and stuff like that, you want to make sure there's things that they like, or if you've got elderly parents or grandparents with you, you want to make sure that you've got food in place for them as well. So just talking about food mainly, there's other things we could talk about, you know, cleaning products, bits like that, which we'll do further down the line. But in this video, I'm just going to talk about general basic food storage. So what I've got here is a quick overview, is tin food, dehydrated food, so I can add water to it, so it's easy to bulk out. Tin fruit, tinned vegetables. You know, it's really important, like with the tinned fruit, for example, there won't be any fresh fruit around, because again, the supermarkets will be empty, and unless you've got an apple tree or a fruit orchard or something in your garden or nearby, great, but that's only seasonal as well. It's not all year round. So yeah, you do need fruit. Yeah, tinned fruit is full of sugar, but you know, it's tasty, and sugar is not necessarily a bad thing, especially when times are hard. And there's a good wide range of fruit, and you're getting a bit of fruit into your body still. Same applies with tinned vegetables. You know, these are peas, you got beans, you got carrots, all sorts, you know, plum tomatoes, loads of stuff. But what I will say with tinned food, I mean, this is nice, what's this, beef chunky soup, lovely. But what you've got to watch with tinned food is it rusts. If it's not kept in a dry, damp-free place, within a few weeks, a few months, it can rust. And if it rusts, and it's really bad rust, it will get through and it will infect the food inside. So it will make the food inside, you know, non-edible. It will perish the food. So keep an eye out for that. If you do see one with rust on, if it's not too bad, don't worry too much. Just give it a wipe and a dry. But if you do see bad ones, get rid of them, bin them, throw them away, because they will affect the other ones. The other thing to look out for is bulges in the side of the tin or in the top or bottom. And what that indicates is there's bacteria build up inside the tin. For some reason it's got in there and it's basically expanding. So again, bin it, get rid of it. And the last thing really with tins to watch out for is big dents on the side or in the top or the bottom. You know, it might look perfectly fine, but if there's a big dent in it, what it could mean is inside the tin, it could be damaging the food inside. So again, it could be, you know, off and not safe to eat. So big dents, any rust or any bulging or bubbling, get rid of it. What is great about tins, and not many people know this, you know, you can eat them cold, straight off the shelf. Every type of tin has been through a process that's, when it's made in the factory, it goes through a big oven. So the contents goes in, it gets sealed, and then it rolls through a big oven, which cooks the contents. That's what makes it sterile and safe to eat, and that's what makes it last for so long. You know, there's tins out there now, like corned beef and things like that, which were made during World War II, which you can take off a shelf now. I've seen it on videos, people have got it, and you can open it and you can eat the contents, and that's from, you know, 1940 odd. So that's how good tinning can be, and how sterile it can make it, and how long they can last. So yeah, brilliant things to keep. Just keep an eye on them and look after them, and they'll look after you. The other thing you've got to do really is rotation and restocking. So what I've done before is I've run out of beans or whatever, and I nip up to my store. I pinched some beans, I've done it again a few more times, and I've not replenished it within a few days or so, and I come back up and I'm like, oh no, got no beans left, or oh, I've got no soup. I should have replaced it. So make sure if you're going to pinch something from here, which is great, we all, you know, you can do it because it is a storage, food storage. Just replace it within a few days, because if you leave it too long, something could happen in between, and then you've got no beans or you've got no soup or whatever. So just replace it. Rotation is, again, it's pretty simple, straightforward stuff. Check the dates on them. I generally work from left to right, so I have newest to the left, oldest on the right, and I just work my way through from right to left, or if you want to go left to right, it doesn't really matter. Just have some kind of order put in place that you can keep an eye on the dates so they don't go off. So with that, if it doesn't go off, it stays for a long time. You're not really spending more money than what you would anyway if you weren't storing food, because you're just rotating it. So it's there if you need it, but you can still use it on a day-to-day basis. Just replace it. So you're not wasting money. You're not letting it all go off and then you're going to throw it away. You know, you're keeping it in case you need it in bulk for that main moment. Anyway, moving on from that, I also have alcohol. So I've got vodka, rum, whiskey, all sorts of different things like that, because, you know, when times are hard, you may need a drink. You know, it's nice to relax sometimes in the evenings and have a drink. And I do it now. We do it when times aren't hard, let alone when things will be hard. Down the bottom, I got boxes of wine. You know, it keeps well. These things, even when you open them, last for weeks and weeks. They're cheaper than buying bottles, less bulky, and nice and easy to store. Boxes of cider, bottles of cider, cans of lager. Pretty much, again, what do you like? If you like bitter, then store bitter. You know, I haven't got a drinking problem or anything. It's nothing like that. But you won't be able to get it. If things happen, you will not be able to get booze, especially booze and medication. It'll just be gone off the shelves because people panic buy stuff like that. It's a bit like the whole loo roll thing. It's just gone straight away. So it's very important that if you do like a drink and you want to store it, then store it. And again, rotate it. I mean, there's several times I've been caught out, gone home, and, you know, oh, I could do with a glass of wine. Oh, it's all right. I've got some in the store. Go up, grab it, but replace it. Otherwise, like I said earlier, it will go, and all of a sudden you find yourself with no beer or wine or cider or whatever you drink. So again, with the spirits, if you like a spirit with a mixer or something, get the mixers in stock, lemonade, Coca-Cola or tonics or whatever. Just work it out and store it. Yeah, so going from there to milk, I get a lot of UHT milk in storage. It's brilliant stuff. It just lasts and lasts and lasts. Even ones I've had here, I've done a few experiments where it's like a year out of date, and I've opened it, tried it in my coffee, and it's fine. That's a year out of date. So UHT milk's brilliant. They do it in obviously semi-skimmed and whole milk. There's all different types of it, so it's worth getting in stock, and it's reasonably cheap as well, and it's just ready to go. It's great. It's good stuff. Moving back here, cereal. I like cereal. I have cereal every day. I get bored of cereal, the same one every day in, day out, so I always have a variety of cereals. Most kids love cereal. If you've got kids, get the cereal in. What's great as well is inside the boxes, they're sealed in a plastic bag, so they're airtight and they're not going to perish. They're not going to get soggy and damp, or, you know, like biscuits can and things like that. Ready rice, boxes up there, some down here, ready to go. It's already cooked. Put it in a pan, mix it in with something. You can boil it in a bag. A lot of them boil in a bag. You can even eat it cold, a bit like the tin stuff. In an emergency, you would. If you were that hungry, you just eat it cold. Just rip it open and away you go. So that's reasonably cheap as well. I often get quite a lot of those. Loads of different flavours as well. From spicy ones to just standard egg fried rice and plain rice. Really good stuff. Sardines, baked beans, big tins of baked beans, tuna. Starting from the top here, we've got dehydrated vegetables. I've got a big sack of those. You can just take a bit out at a time. They last really well because they're in a sealed bag. They're great. Tea bags. You know, most people like tea. Always try and buy tea bags in the plastic wrapper, because if you buy the ones in the boxes, within a few weeks of being in storage, they tend to go a bit stale and they pick up the moisture from the air. So just make sure they're in the plastic bag as well. Say a plastic bag or plastic packaging. Keep them airtight. Give them a squeeze, you know, ideal. If it compresses, then it's obviously got a hole in it, and don't use that. Get one which you can squeeze tight. Brilliant. But again, yeah, cheap. You can get loads of it. Buy a big bag, whatever. Moving now, coffee, instant coffee, cheap as chips. Most people like coffee, easy to make, add a bit of water, you've got a hot drink. So what I do though is occasionally I'll treat myself to a nice coffee, a more expensive one, and I'll just put it in with the other coffees because you might want to change it out occasionally. But yeah, moving on to super noodles. I love super noodles, they're great. I often buy them in bulk. Most supermarkets sell them. They start from about 40p up to £1, depending on what brands they are. Again, simple to make. Just add water, and you can add things to them, vegetables, anything to bulk it up and make it into a meal. Same with pot noodles. I'm a big fan of pot noodles. I love pot food. They need curry, beef flavour. This is chicken and mushroom. You know, if you are into pot noodles, get them in bulk because you get them a lot cheaper. You get the king pot as well, which is even bigger. Great for walking, camping, store really well, lasts forever. Pot noodle, great. Of course, here I got sweets, chocolate, Jaffa cakes, marshmallows, loads of different types of things, just little treats, you know, especially again with children, it's nice to have things like that. I've got biscuits. Now biscuits are great, we all like a biscuit with our tea or coffee, don't we? So, you know, but make sure you get the packets which are airtight, not the ones which are folded, because they will go stale after a few weeks. Get the airtight ones. And get a variety of biscuits. There's so many out there, you know, and they're not expensive. Moving down here, at the bottom here, I've got like a baking section where it's like cookie dough, cake mix, all sorts, dumpling mix, things like that. Loads of pancake mix. Again, it keeps well. If you get it in the right plastic bags, they're great. They last forever, and it's easy to make, easy to do. Up here, I got bread. So I like making my own bread. This stuff you buy, you just add water, you read the instructions, put it in the oven. You know, okay, you might not have a normal oven. You can cook these in a Dutch oven. It's just as easy, it's just as nice, and it's quite good fun. Put it on the fire, put your mix in, give it a bit of time, and then you've got a nice fresh white loaf. Or mixed loaves, there's brown bread, there's seeded bread, there's all sorts. Porridge, can't go wrong with porridge. Add a bit of honey. Got honey down there with my jams and my peanut butters and my chocolate spreads. You know, porridge will go a long way, and again, you just add in water. There's no point making things like a big casserole. I mean, you could, if there's a load of you can make it in bulk, but these things take time to cook, and also it takes fuel. Fuel, it'll use up gas, it'll use up logs, depending on how you're cooking. So think about what you can cook and how you're going to cook it. In what ways, you know. If you're cooking off just a little tiny gas stove, then it's got to be quite instant. So porridge is simple, you just let it bubble over. The instant porridges are great. You just add hot water, stir them in, again for camping, walking, bugging out, things like that. They're fantastic to have in your pack. So have a think about that. Pretty much, you know, the list is as long as you want. If you like it, get it. If it lasts, if it's non-perishable, get it, stock it. And away you go, you know, it's as simple as that. I'm trying to think what else I've missed out. At the top here in these containers, basically, these are ERMs, which is like it stands for emergency ready meals. So in there is things you can eat cold. It takes minutes to make on a tiny gas stove. And each box will probably last me or two people probably a week or so of food. And the reason they're in separate boxes like this is because I can just grab them, put them in the car or in a vehicle, and away you go. You know, you can kind of live off that for a few weeks or so. Basically, it's emergency. It's like a bug out box really for food to go in the vehicle. So yeah, in a nutshell, hopefully that's helped with your basic food storage. That's how I do mine. If you've liked what you've seen and you want to see some more videos, don't forget to click above and follow, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, take care, and bye for now.